Wow, it's like,
Toxic.
it's a bit like being kicked in the balls.
10 hot wings, 10 hot questions. Reach the end for the ultimate prize. Fail and face the ultimate shame. This is Hotheads.
Hey everyone, you're watching Hotheads, the show featuring some of the creative industry's hottest talents and some even spicier wings.
We're joined today by Damon Stapleton,
Hello.
who is the Chief Creative Officer of DDB New Zealand. You guys might know Damon from obviously all of the campaigns you've won awards for in your entire career, which is actually some of the, you're one of the most awarded creatives, I guess, globally. But also Damon's Brain, your blog, which I think gets featured quite a bit in Campaign Brief. Damon, welcome to the show, bud.
Thank you. I'm a little frightened. But
I intentionally kind of didn't give you a lot of background to what we were doing today, but the concept here is that we're going to eat sort of 6 delicious wings. We're on the sort of canned takeaway edition.
Right.
Unfortunately, because we are in France, it was hard to secure some chicken wings.
Fire nuggets.
So we have chicken McNuggets covered in hot sauce for you today. In fact, they're quite cold because we had to get them last night.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, it'll be fine, I'm sure. This is an easy start.
I mean, this might look exactly the same on the way out as it is on the way in, so I mean.
Okay, enjoy.
All right, we're doing it.
Good to see you, Damon.
Shit. That's the first one.
Yeah, that's okay. I just think the texture of that nugget is...
I really shouldn't have drank that tap water yesterday.
Okay, Damon, so question 1. Since we're here at Cannes, we wanted to ask you about your perspective on how you think the festival has changed over the years and what impact you think that's actually having on the work that's winning.
I've been coming to Cannes for about 15 years, so, because I'm old school. And Cannes has changed in terms of scale. I mean, that's the first thing you'll notice when you come here. It's a giant Ferris wheel. I mean, yeah. So I think, someone told me yesterday in 1994, they added their second category.
Wow.
So there was film and then there was print.
Yeah, wow.
Now there are many, many categories. And I think the other thing is there are many, many pieces of work that are entered across multiple categories. So I think the idea of categories is becoming an interesting conversation. Is it something that actually is real? And I think the work that is winning, that I've just been to the Palais, it's kind of an interesting crossroads we're at, where there's a lot of work that's solving problems, better design, making the world better. I'm not 100% sure all of it's that creative. There's a lot of work at the moment that's about solutions and using data and all of that stuff. Creativity for me is maybe not as prevalent as it used to be.
I remember actually that you once told me that it's all about the idea. Like you can talk about different formats or different technologies, but if the idea doesn't come first, the rest is it doesn't even matter. Like it could be a great solution to your point, but if there isn't an idea in it, it's not really creative.
I suppose it's a controversial question, but there's a lot of people that almost go, well, the idea is Snapchat, or the idea is Google or Facebook, it's media. And I think it's more a question, I mean, the way I wrote about it was, I still think the picture is more important than the picture frame. And I would say that there are a lot of people looking at picture frames right now. I wonder, 5 years in the future, what happens when everybody is hyper-personalized
up
and
to speed,
and it gets you at exactly the right moment,
Yep.
and everybody's doing that. What will the lever be that you pull to differentiate yourself?
Yeah, right.
Yep.
I'm just gonna jump in.
This isn't that bad. This is a good flavour.
All right, cool. Okay, I gotta go. See you guys.
Yum.
Well, we were.
It's not that hot though.
No, there's nothing.
Nothing.
Yet.
Yeah. But growing up, I know you moved around a lot.
Yep.
And I think actually you were kind of like jumping hotel to hotel, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that just a little bit? And I think, I guess the question will be, do you think that sort of constant change was something that helped fuel your personal creativity as you grew up?
I think creatives generally don't come from, households with a picket fence, a dog, and, a lot of people wearing cashmere and, Christmas cards. I think there tends to be, if you talk to a lot of creatives, they tend to come from something that's maybe a little different. Maybe they moved around a lot, or the parents were divorced. So I think that does play a role in it, because you start to look at the world in quite an idiosyncratic way.
Yeah, right.
And I think the thing about creativity is to look at things differently. I mean, that's at the very core of it. I think they all say great ideas start as heresy, right? And you see that over and over, where people go, oh, that's rubbish, and then 6 months later it's genius. So yeah, I think it played a role. I think it let me look at things in different ways. It made me appreciate different types of people.
And why were you moving around between hotel rooms?
My dad was a drug dealer.
This is nice. It's a good flavour. Okay, Damon, so you've had quite a few weird and wonderful jobs over your years.
I have.
One of which I believe was a photographer for Vogue.
Well, I was a photographer for a lot of different fashion magazines. So originally I studied photography in the 80s, which seems a long time ago. I studied photography. So I studied for 3 years, learning chemical compositions and how to print in dark rooms, and now I just use my iPhone. But yeah, so I was a fashion photographer. I worked for different magazines, Marie Claire, Elle, Cosmopolitan.
Amazing.
And so that was the beginning. I also went to film school. I studied directing. I fell into advertising because I was broke. I did lots and lots of things in your 20s. And I think creatives, it's a weird thing being a creative. It's not you got to figure out what it is you want to do. I'm always a little dubious of people that know exactly what they want to do when they're 19. So they've got it all mapped out. I think sometimes it's good to kind of maybe take a few detours.
Can you advise people that though? I mean, is the advice literally, if they're not quite ready to jump in, can you just go explore something?
Oh, I mean, I suppose it comes down to money. I mean, I never had any of it. So, my gap year didn't really take off. I had a gap year when I was unemployed. It's interesting because I think what is going to happen in the future with creatives? And I think that's a very interesting question, because you have multiple things happening right now. The one thing you do see is people are hiring creatives.
Yeah.
And they're hiring them in many different ways. I saw a great talk by Colleen de Courcy at DNAD called Lightning in a Bottle. And she spoke about creativity is not the problem. The process is the problem.
Yeah.
And she used Netflix as an example of, if you look at what happened with Hollywood 5 or 6 years ago, everyone's going, we're toast. And now Netflix is making more content than ever.
Yeah.
So it's not that the end product is the problem.
Yeah.
It's the way that we're getting there.
Right, yeah.
So I think for creatives, it's not only deciding you want to be a creative, but also exploring the different ways you can be a creative.
Yeah.
And that's quite a big space these days. I don't think there's any one way to do it.
Okay.
Number 4.
Wing number 4. I believe this is an Australian hot sauce, brought all the way.
The kicker.
Over the... Totally fine.
Oh my God.
Okay.
You guys, it's these two, right? I can see.
It's those two.
You guys have said it, it's fine.
You've never been more right. Okay, so we kind of mentioned in the intro, but Damons Brain is a really successful blog. I think it comes up a lot. People really look to that as a source of inspiration. You've written a lot of articles now. Which is the one that you think has kind of got the most traction or attention, most feedback, I guess?
I started writing it about 4.5 years ago, and I didn't think anyone was going to read it. It was a form of therapy. It's just I was going through a difficult time. And it was a form of therapy where I actually just wanted to start putting some ideas down. But I also had this sort of inkling that no one really speaks for creatives. You have a lot of people that go to seminars on weekends and cool trainers, saying, creative's too important to be left to the creatives, and they have lots of pie charts. But no one actually talks about the making and what it's like to be a creative. So I started writing, and I started getting people writing to me from exotic places like Minneapolis. I was really surprised that these people, you start to sort of see the power of the internet, because I was not promoting it. I wasn't, I wasn't doing anything.
It just found its way.
But a lot of creators were asking me, like, what should they do? And I mean, I'm seriously underqualified to tell someone in Minneapolis what they should do with their career. But I started to realize that there were a lot of creators out there going, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I started to try and answer that, and I kept writing. And today, I mean, up at 100,000 people. So, you know, I've had 100,000 people.
Awesome. Congratulations.
And that is, I think there's a real need. I think there's a real need to actually talk about what it's like to come up with ideas, what it's like to be a creative. You know, if it helps people, I'm never going to charge for it. You know, anyone who wants it can put it up on their blog, because I didn't do it to make money or put, you know, banner ads on, or, you know, I wanted to do it because I know what it's like to stare at a blank piece of paper. Yeah. I know what it's like when you've got a 2-hour deadline. I know what it's like when nothing makes sense. Creatives, a bit like screenwriters, you know, it's if you don't have them, let's see how it works out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But it's sort of taken for granted. And I mean, there is no business in the world where more great ideas are thrown away every day.
Yeah.
It's one of the weirdest things.
Bottom drawers, full of them.
Thousands of ideas that are sitting there, and the other one that always freaks me out is, we've presented it, we can never talk about it again. It never happened, it never existed. And
They didn't buy it, we can never discuss it.
Can we just maybe show it? No. You know, those are the kinds of things that's so strange, is that there's so many good people in the industry, there's so many good ideas, but you know, we kind of beat ourselves up a lot of the time.
Yeah, very rarely a voice kind of uniting that.
And that's why I started writing.
This one's really hot.
Okay.
And if anything, the flavor's bad too.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Is that why your voice is, I mean, is this what you've been doing this for?
I've been doing hot sauce so much that it's making me sound like this. So, yeah, here we go.
All right.
It's good to see you, David.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, no.
I hate that.
I've just lost a tooth.
Question 5. For such a small country, New Zealand's notoriously creative. So I think there's boasting more creative population per capita than anywhere else in the world.
Right.
What factors do you think play into that? Why does that exist?
I think, sorry, I'm just trying to get my tongue to, could we maybe just hold hands and take a moment?
I am sweating so hard.
We're going to get through this.
Hey, we can do this.
We can do this.
Let me try again. New Zealand, I think, is 5 million people. Part of the reason I think it's creative is there's a lack of formality.
Right.
So you get to see the CEO, you get to see the CMO. You don't have 8 meetings to have a meeting, and which is, you know, it's death. I think the other thing is, there's a thing called the tyranny of distance. I think there's also the advantage of distance. I think Kiwis have always just done their own thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think a lot of work is sort of in an echo chamber. Somebody does this kind of typeface, then, you know, and you see a lot of types of work that are the same. I mean, you go to the Palais now and you'll see multiple executions that are quite similar. So informality, I think there's people there prepared to take a risk.
Yeah.
And I think there's a culture, and I mean, America is a good example of this, right? You know, Wyden and Kennedy's in Portland. Crispin, Porter, and Boguski was in Boulder, Colorado. I think there's something to be said where you're just doing your thing.
Yeah.
And you're not that influenced by what other people are doing or saying.
And
that's how work feels original. So there are disadvantages, scale, stuff like that. But I think ultimately it's a place where originality can survive. Yeah. And that's why.
Do you think the same can be said for Australia?
I think Australia goes through phases. I've worked in both markets.
Yeah.
I mean, Melbourne for me is killing it this year. I mean, they're doing amazing work. I think though that I think Sydney is harder. Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to go into reasons why or whatever, but I think Sydney is a city where, you know, if you talk to creatives, it's a hard place to get stuff across the line. Yeah. It takes longer, and that might be because you've got big clients. There might be lots of reasons for it, but it can be tough.
Well, Damon, we're on to the last wing, and I'm really sorry to say this, but the show on the last wing, generally, I mean, you don't have to. You can do whatever you like to do, but we like to dab it. We just put a little...
We don't like to dab it. They do.
Just, oh, fuck. That was going really well there, just until that dab down.
I've touched
Seriously,
my
I don't know
eyes.
if I can.
I've touched my eyes
Damon-
and my nose.
You don't have to, but we do to respect the show. Maybe just the smallest dab.
It's not normally so fluid.
Oh no!
Yes! It's not just me. Well,
Just wipe that a bit.
Yeah.
yeah, give it a little tiny wipe there. Damon, it's very good to see you, bud.
Yeah.
And good luck with the rest of the week
As in what?
and the rest of the day. Final question. I know we're dying, but we've touched on it a little bit, but we're seeing this trend that companies that aren't creative agencies, whether they're managing consulting firms or media agencies, which have been doing this for years, are starting to hire creatives.
Yep.
And I guess I'd just love to get your thoughts on where you see the future role of a creative and where are we headed with all of this?
Look, I think being a creative is not defined by anything. A creative is somebody who solves problems and somebody who has ideas. I think sometimes that's been an undervalued thing. You know? I don't think there's anybody in the world that doesn't need to solve problems and doesn't need to come up with ideas they don't have right now. You know, and that is always the tension.
Yeah.
You know, it's the old joke. I want a new idea, but show me a case study that it's worked.
Yeah.
Right? I think there are going to be more and more companies that want those ideas, and there are going to be more and more companies that need to think about creativity. Yeah, I think a lot of companies, it's like a process, you know, or a formula. You know, 26 plus this, and then you get, there it is, creativity. You know, coming up with great ideas is a process. The problem with ideas is you can have it in a minute, or it can take 18 months. So that is fundamentally the issue. And the way that you have to try and deal with that is to create a culture that fosters more ideas, where people are not afraid
Yeah.
and are not actually that worried about the outcome.
Yeah.
And it's a very counterintuitive thing, but the more that you're worried about, if I say I want you to come up with an idea in an hour about this, you're going to struggle. Whereas I say, bring me some stuff and let's talk about it and let's work with it. That's a much more organic process, and I think it creates a better culture.
So good to see you, man.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you, Damon. You've successfully completed our Hotheads challenge.
Where's my hat?
Such, you get a
Where's
hat.
my hat?
It looks like this hat.
No, I've
though.
got a new hat for you.
It's not this hat.
Well, yes, we'll give you.
Is this my hat?
I will give you a new hat.
Oh yeah, it looks good as
So
well.
it's a kind of a trucker thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over the
Suits
top,
you.
Sylvester Stallone.
Perfect.
Look it up.
With McNuggets, why not, right?
Cool, guys. Thanks.
Cheers, bro. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in to this express edition of Hotheads from Cannes.
For more episodes, visit our site, Google's Creative Broadcast. The broadcast also houses best-in-class case studies of Google's technologies and platforms, plus more thought leadership like this.